Well, as we mentioned, the Second World Internet Conference is underway in China. And to discuss the developments there and China's internet industry, we're joined by entrepreneur and tech expert Eric Schiffer. Eric, good to see you. Thanks for joining us again.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Eric, President Xi Jinping says China will guarantee foreign companies legal rights and that China does welcome companies and entrepreneurs from all countries to invest in China as long as China's laws are respected. Eric, does this change anything? What do you think this means for the big companies like Facebook and such?
Well, I think it's great news for all companies, frankly. I mean, the president is really sending a message. He's saying, we want to work with you. We want to make sure that you feel safe in terms of being able to operate effectively, that you have the right rights. And that's a good thing because there's a mixed message with a lot of companies in terms of there being trapdoors and there being some areas in which the Chinese government may be a little bit difficult. I don't think there's any, confusion amongst U.S. companies. They know they're going to have to play by the rules in terms of data and in terms of some privacy issues. But this is a smart move. This will only help U.S. companies to feel more comfortable and help the Chinese economy overall in many ways in terms of there being just more activity overall and investment into the country.
Well, Eric, Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg has been on a charm offensive lately, really trying to get Facebook into China. Do you think that could possibly change anytime soon?
I don't think that will necessarily change. I think that's going to be a difficult one only because of the inherent, bias against these types of networks. But it's possible. I mean, you have some of these Chinese social networking companies that have the same types of capabilities. I think that to the extent that it were to occur, Facebook would have to give a lot of access to the Chinese government and a lot of flexibility for them to be able to do some oversight and effective shutdowns when they want to. So anything's possible, but I think that would take a lot more negotiation. But look, I think clearly Facebook is interested. They have to balance the perception, though, overall.
Well, Facebook's certainly interested, and it's easy to see why. China's the largest internet market, nearly 700 million internet users, 1.2 billion mobile phone users. But China does also have more restrictions and regulations than most other countries. So how does that impact foreign multinationals?
Well, they're going to have to be smart. I mean, they've had to be smart all along. It can be done, but you have to understand that you're playing by not only the national rules, but many times you're playing by the province rules. So I think that if you're an intelligent, well-run multinational company, you're used to dealing in a lot of different locales with different governmental restrictions. These governmental restrictions, frankly, are manageable in most cases, except in certain areas where it's difficult, where you have privacy-related issues. And even in those areas, it can be managed. So I would say that unless you're a real ineffective CEO in terms of being able to be creative and to be able to be flexible, absolutely, you can manage within China. There's no question. And the Chinese government is making it, with these overtures, much more enticing, giving confidence where confidence is needed.
Well, China is one of the online leaders. 4 out of the world's top 10 internet companies are Chinese: Alibaba, JD.com, Tencent, and Baidu. And there's a huge number of smaller internet companies that are trying to replicate that success. Do you think there could be a concern of an internet bubble forming in China at the moment?
No, I don't. I've heard this concept in terms of bubble. I mean, we've had the correction, and I think there was a correction that was pretty large. And certainly there's been a run-up with certain internet companies of late. But you got to realize, I mean, look, Singles Day was phenomenal. I mean, the numbers were crazy. It was like $13 billion, the biggest single day in the history of the world in terms of internet shopping. So the future of the internet and technology within China is immensely bright. I think companies and investors realize this. And so I think they're betting on the strong horses. I don't think it's overblown. Valuations are always a little bit higher in Asia, certainly in China versus the U.S. There are some great companies, Alibaba, et cetera. I don't think so.
All right. Thanks, as always, for your insight, entrepreneur and tech expert, Eric Schiffer.